do better than that. Snowing. Come on, yes, Spotlite. Come on now. Bringing some enthusiasm to the room, right? Yeah. My name is Harry Todd, and I'm proud to be the moderator for tonight's fireside chat with Stacey Hale, John E. Collins, and
John Jammin.
His mom and them named John E. Collins. Later on, he was
John Jammin Collins. Thank you very much. Tonight I'm John Jammin.
Okay. Let's start with over again.
They Alpha Brothers.
Stacey Hale, John Jammin Collins. Yeah, I'm Harry Todd, and I'm proud to be the moderator for fireside chat with two of my friends. And without further ado, I'm going to have you all introduce yourselves.
Will you introduce us?
No, just a little more.
Aren't you supposed to tell people about us?
Yeah. Oh.
He's always trying to be the boss. So
He is the boss. Right.
So
he ain't trying.
Quickly, I've known these two individuals for many decades, and Stacey and I go back to when she used to carry a coffin. A coffin, for those who don't know, it had two turntables, two 1200 Technics turntables, and a mixer, probably Newmark, right? And it had.
I ain't carrying
she had people, but the coffin had, drum roll please, orange shag carpeting. As a stabilizer. So it was a couple years ago, right? Orange, yes, your auntie's orange shag carpeting. They kind of cut it and put it in the coffin and kind of stabilize the package, the equipment. But we started like there, and we've grown, great friends since then. Do a lot of things together. I really adore her, and then the irascible one, John Jammin Collins. Yes, he's my fraternity brother, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, and I love him dearly. He is my big brother. You can't do nothing about it. He's on my neck about things because only he has that inimitable way to say something that's like make you say, "Okay, John. Yeah, and Stacey can say something with one word.
I can get it back in order when it gets out of order. Bring it back down to earth.
Well, yeah, he has that level of influence. But I couldn't be around two better people, two better pioneers of this scene than these two. And let's give it up for them right now. This is like you said, a fireside chat. But I want to start with something. You all have been in the scene for a while now. And I want you to talk about the evolution regarding not necessarily the genre or what something is called. Dick Clark once said years ago, what's the hit record? He says two components, a good beat and easy to dance to, right? So that's what Dick Clark allegedly said. But the point is that you all have been in the scene when it was disco music, progressive music, soul, techno soul, progressive techno soul, punk music, yes, new wave. So just kind of expand on that for what you've seen in the progression, please.
Well, we talk about music or talk about us. Talking about us will tell the story of the music.
Yeah.
Just to talk about. So, little background. Did I mention Duncan Sound over there?
Duncan Sound, yes.
Duncan Sound. So tell them what Duncan Sound is, and then our first encounter, and then take off from there for what happened to bring us all the way to today.
So, a good brother referenced this shag carpet, coffee.
That's what we do.
And Duncan Sound was a mobile DJ company founded by a guy named Ed Duncan, who was an engineer, and he also created sound systems.
He didn't create the sound system. He built the speakers.
Right.
And he put carpet on the speakers.
Right.
That was why he saw the carpet.
Yes, so that's where and he had shag carpet with him.
Shag carpet all around. They built these consoles.
Yes.
And the turntables were stacked like this. They were up and down. They weren't like that. Up and down. And turned out mixers. And when you turn it to go mix, the ear thing would cut off.
Yes. Yeah. So it was really interesting. It was like back in the day when he had a lot of sound systems in different clubs throughout the city. And he also had mobile units. So not only did he have systems in clubs, but there were a lot of people giving parties and venues that they rented. So he would also provide equipment and DJs. So actually, you could probably say that he was probably one of the first who had an agency.
Yeah, that was like an agency, yeah.
Right.
It was. And he hired DJs and he would rent us out, and with the system. And that's what he was doing. And so you were at Duncan Sound before me, weren't you?
Shortly before you. We got it at the same time.
So he had 10 DJs, and then I had to come in and audition. And at the time, I had never even seen a direct-driven turntable. I was playing on belt-driven, and I don't know if you know what that means. You know, it's the accuracy of the turntable doing. And I had to audition. It was the first time I saw a direct track. And I didn't know what to do with it. It scared the hell out of me. I was playing, was busy doing it, and I got discovered at Club Hollywood. Yeah. And Kevin McAllister came in there and discovered me. He said, I need you to come with me. And so I listened to him, and he had me audition to go play for Duncan Sound. That's how I got that. There were two women, Harriet and Jennifer? Jessica? What's Jessica. Right. And so at that particular time, DJing was the art of putting on a record and saying, yeah, now you just heard this sound of that. Mixing was not what was happening.
Called it close and play.
Close and play? Right, close, play, talk, or whatever, and that's, how that went. So I walk up in there mixing. And I'll never forget Mark running from the back talking about, that's what I heard in New York, scared me to death. I didn't know that's what they were doing in New York. I just happened to hear True Disco. It was Ken Collier, Dwayne Bradley, Morris Mitchell, and Ronaldo White. They made up True Disco. And that was the first time I heard a mix, and I was on 6 Mile and Livernois. This is late 70s, I think. Something like that, right?
And at the same time, I had been traveling back and forth to New York, and my brother had moved to New York to pursue a singing career. And I was at a lot of parties where they were also mixing. And in Detroit, well, this is for black clubs, I don't know about white clubs, but the gay clubs, as she said, were already mixing. So we kind of brought that into the Duncan Sound.
And the mainstream. And that's how I got introduced to Detroit, through Duncan Sound, through Charles Love Funtime Society. He said, I'm going to introduce you to the city. I'm like, what? Cool as young and whatever. And that was my big baby. And so now Detroit number one, because I was busy playing in the underground clubs.
Right. And as for me, my first job out of college was at the Michigan Cancer Foundation. So my background is science, biology. She was engineering as well. So I had a job at the Michigan Cancer Foundation in the Department of Epidemiology, and I wasn't making enough money. So I said, let me get a part-time job. And I went to a club and saw a young lady DJ. So I thought, this would be a fun way to make some money.
What's that, Sharon?
No, it was Lisa White.
Sharon White?
No, Lisa White.
Okay.
And so that's how I got affiliated with Duncan Sound. I auditioned as well. I started buying a lot of records. I already had records already. I come from a musical family, and we all bought records. That's what we do. So my plan was to DJ for either 4 or 5 years, and I was out. It was never a career goal. It was purely to supplement my income. But as my mother said, it was just a God had other plans for you. So, you know, DJing, just one thing after another happened, and to this day I'm still in it. So,
Yeah, me too. Thank you for that clarification. And we still work on each other to this day. To this day. So one of the things I think that we were trying to talk about the music before you knew the term house and techno and even disco. So we were at it then, not defining it, but John and myself collectively, and as most people do, we want to be different. We want to be different. So I'm going to put on something different. And the music that we played back in that time is, you did not hear it on radio. You didn't hear it on radio. So we were daring. We didn't care. It's just go ahead. Their passion.
But we did have to play, you know, for instance, a lot of the music was probably what they heard on the radio. The clubs, I was playing that anyway. You know, it was radio crowd, but every now and then I'm like, you know, we got to take them a bit further and introduce them to something else. And so we both did that, and we would drop music that was not on the radio, and probably music that was from the gay club, that people, straight clubs, were not dancing to.
They didn't know it.
You know, so that's how we
They all know it.
indoctrinated the crowd.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so John single-handedly taught me how to play gay music for straight folks, because I was scared to play it. I figured they couldn't handle it. They can't handle what we do. You know, that's that. And he told me that we were at the Lansdowne, and he played Let No Man Put Us Under and I Fainted. I'm like, oh my God, what, we put this on? He said, just play it. I'm like, okay. I never forget that. I was like, okay, all right. You know, those, you know, beginning things and stuff.
So, you know, so prior to that, of course, you know, you referenced before techno, there were a lot of clubs in Detroit.
House was first.
A lot of clubs. You could go to a club, like 4 or 5 clubs on a night. So some people think that techno is what started the dance scene in Detroit, but it wasn't. And with the Duncan sound, is proof of that. And I was already playing other parties before the Duncan sound, and I met Marshall Jackson, who was also a frat brother, who later on, he's out there.
Really?
Who later on opened the club Cheeks with a guy named Larry Harrison.
Yep.
And Cheeks was a club located on 8 Mile and Schaefer, correct?
Yes.
And it was
Between Myers and Schaefer.
right. It was a club owned by 4 white guys from the suburbs, and all the people who came were white people from the suburbs, but it was in Detroit. So it was very, very exclusive.
Next door to TNT.
Next to the
Let's get that now.
But then also,
The very gay next door. Look at that. They wouldn't let me in, I was a woman. I knew he was over there. Like, what y'all doing over here?
calm down. But they also had a guy who would select people to come into the club. And Richard Rollins was his name. He was an attorney. And he really got off on turning people away. One day he rejected Doris Biscoe, who was a newscaster.
Yes, you know who Doris Biscoe is, right?
Yeah, but he wouldn't let her in the club, you know. So anyway, after they decided to build another club in Pontiac called Menage, Larry Harrison, the other owner of Cheeks, was a limited partner in the original Cheeks. That meant he was invested, but he didn't have decision-making power. So after they went out, they sold him and Marshall the club, and that's how that change occurred.
Change the flavor, right. And so just to, if you know the birth of Cheeks, not only did it develop me, John, but also the wizard, Jeff Mills. And after Jeff left doing Wednesday, that's when Alan Esther came in. And so it was me, Alan, and John, the sound of Cheeks. And that's when we threw some bit at it. We just,
What year is this? Cheeks started in 83, 84?
Something like that. Yeah, because I was at Cheeks when I entered the contest at WJLB. And I was in school full time, engineering, doing calculus, get up to a mix, just shit that we did. And I entered that contest, and I just thought it was a farce, but I entered it, and that was in '85 when I won the WJLB contest. And I competed against 600 DJs and won.
Wow. Woo, woo, woo.
You're talking about the history of Cheeks, and what they did not mention is that I gave parties there on Wednesday night. So yes, I hired them. Hey, it's the truth, it's the facts. But more importantly though, that's when I really got a better understanding of the scene. And when you talk about Cheeks and who can let in, first time I ever went there, they wouldn't let me in. And of course I was salty as AF. And then, but something I had a great relationship and was able to broaden our relationship. Then, as he said, with Alan as well as Jeff Mills, and it was a hell of a time in Detroit at that time. And with you all being there and doing your thing, let's talk about what you saw on the scene and where where it was going and where you wanted to go and where you saw yourself fit in. Did you think at that time that this was going to be something that you'd be doing the rest of your life? Or I know, John, you talk about your early reception, but when you're doing that, being booked on a regular basis, what was your ultimate goal?
It was our resident.
Pardon me?
It was a resident. We weren't booked.
Yeah, okay, yes, I'm sorry.
But keep in mind, we still had full-time jobs as well.
Right.
We were doing
still
both.
Because we come from that, working in. We come from that, and because we chose to be educated and have jobs, and yes, it's great DJing, and yes, you can make
Back then,
some money, a little money. I remember working 6 days straight doing both. Youth, you can do that. And I did it. I just worked and slept.
Had to pay the bills.
That's just back to having a passion. And so the passion wasn't planted in us early. Just because we love music. We just couldn't help it. And for, that happened in our lives growing up. So music was always introduced to me, by my brother. He had a wall of albums, reel to reels, and just all that, and it always fascinated me, but he would not let me touch it. He's like, get lost. I was a little kid sister then. And I must say, when he saw me become doing what I was doing, it just made him really proud. I was like, hey, he's directly the reason why.
Right. And my parents exposed us to jazz, gospel, Motown, and I didn't know my father even liked classical. It really tripped me out. But classical, and so all genres of music. And for me, I guess I never thought I would be in it. I'm still surprised. I'm shocked. I'm still
Yeah.
As long as they want to book me, I'll play. I am constantly amazed at the different things that we get to do, and not only DJing, but we've in other areas. We do panels, we do workshops, we produce.
We created something called the Detroit Regional Music Conference. Okay? This was unheard of. We were 1993. 1993. We created designed to be a festival, but it was from the education portion and doing things. And Adriel was over the alternative part of it. And we had a rap section, an alternative section, a dance section, and all that. And John and I, we worked really, really hard to make that happen here in Detroit. And it was back because of us loving the music and wanting to show off Detroit, because we realized Detroit is full of talent. And it didn't necessarily describe the type of music. Your talent, just because you like whatever it is you like, And we single-handedly wanted to expose that. That's what we did, expose it.
Right.
Yeah.
We did not want to, we did it.
And we would travel back and forth to the New Music Seminar, which was in New York.
Winter-
and the Winter Music Conference in Florida.
In Florida, right.
And so we were like, well, they can do that there, we can do that here, because,
that here.
as you said, Detroit has so much talent. So we did put together this festival, and our first keynote speaker was Esther Gordy
Yes,
from Motown.
for Motown,
So,
right?
it was really, really good.
Yeah.
So we had workshops, and we had parties in every club, and actually our 10-year
10 parties
goal,
going at once. We was like, we must be crazy.
our 10-year goal was to have a festival
Yep.
at Hart Plaza.
We stood in the middle of Hart
That was
Plaza.
our 10-year goal.
Oh.
In 1993 at our Businessmen.
Yep, saying that this is what we want to do. So this is pro-def,
Wow.
definitely pro-movement. So we were visionaries. We just didn't have good right parents that could throw a couple $100,000 behind us.
So, I want to touch upon something you brought up. You talked about the different types of music, or being able to be played by the straight crowds, gay clubs. Kind of, act like I'm from Mars. What does that mean? You mentioned "Let No Man Put Us Under," my first choice, right?
Yes.
Why would that song be something that the straight crowd allegedly would not want? Or, can you guys go into detail of how each of them work together to build what we have now? And I think now is more inclusive, as well as should be. But kind of talk about those days and the differences, if you would, please.
I think at the time, the general public was more, in that particular crowd, was more R&B. And not that we don't like funk and R&B, because, we like it and we like jazz. We like good music. That's, my thought about it, just good music. It didn't matter what it was as long as it's good. And I still feel that way right to this day. And so when something that was progressive, like Let No Man Put Us Under, to play something like that after playing Melba Moore or Soul Fine, what was that, Jerry Knight? Whoever made it. Adrian, who made Soul Fine? Daryl?
Johnson.
Howard Johnson, thank you, right. Right. So here then all of a sudden you hear this orchestrated dun 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 and women testifying and all that, and I didn't think that they could handle that. And one of the
You just gave me chills.
one of the thing that I always remember. So again, Marcia Young would have parties at wherever, but anyway, at gay parties in straight bars. We were at Studio 54 and doing all this, and for whatever reason, wasn't able to be there no more. And so we were busy and going hard at Cheeks. And so I kicked out at she said, I said, what about coming to Cheeks, do a party so we could get the bullshit night? It was Monday. They gave us a Monday. Here, you have your party on Monday because we don't want your ass to hear you all the time. So I go in there and I was DJing and I'm playing and I was full blown gay playing or whatever, that sound. And the very end of the bartenders all attacked me and said, "Bitch, why don't you play this music for us?" I'm like, what? I said, because I don't think you could take it. I didn't think they could handle it. And that helped change the sound of things, what we were doing in Chiefs and stuff, because of that. So I just got a little bit more braver. And,
It's also about programming.
Yeah.
It's also about programming how you introduce music. And my thing is, if you give a crowd what they want, you can take, as a DJ, you can take them anywhere you want them to go. As long as you're in tune and you're connected with the crowd. And to your point, it was just like they were listening to more radio music.
Right.
So they weren't accustomed to the music that was being played in gay clubs. This is black gay clubs, I think, that I was going to anyway. And the music was just different. It was more exciting. It was vocals. The atmosphere was it was like being in church. Seriously.
Yeah.
And that energy was not in the straight clubs that we were playing for. But eventually, I think by us introducing those different types of music, even from New York and later on house music, I think think we kind of helped change.
We did. I think we single-handedly did it because we proceeded to play for groups like Charivari. That was a club. A gathering. I ran into a guy today that was from one of those clubs. But what we did, I forgot what I was going to say. In doing that, and so that's the birth of what they call progressive. We still don't have that term house music at this time. They called it progressive. But we were playing stuff, Nocera.
Yeah. A lot of stuff out in New York.
All that stuff. But my crazy ass faithfully would drive over to Chicago, fill up my trunk with records from tracks, from DJ International, pack them in my car, and drive back home. And run up in the club and play that shit. That's what I would do.
Well, now you do remember with DRMC, we played at the Warehouse. Remember? And then we went to DJ International. Rocky Jones invited you and I.
Yeah.
Took us to the Warehouse. He said, take whatever you want. And we were like, it was like, Christmas morning. We ran to the Warehouse. I brought back to Detroit. That made a major, to me, impact on the city in doing that. Mind you, I don't know if that's what I'm doing. I'm just having some fun and playing some music that I think is just hot. And, it's some of what you may call right now today, oldie but goodie, playing the Adonis and the Way Back, and I Can't Turn Around and all that. And so I still know Farley, Steel Sick Hurley, all of them, and they're just extremely talented. And so I just want to say this. One of the things that, it's always a big fight over who created house music. And I got the answer. You got, okay, so they're both my answers, okay? This how I go, because every time you think Detroit, you think techno. And that's fine, that's all true. But something happened before that, okay? First of all, you heard about jacking. They said jacking music, that's what they talk about in Chicago. But the first person that said anything about jacking some music was Aretha Franklin. She said, "This is the house that Jack built, y'all." That's who said it.
Woo.
I got really sets with that. That's who said it first.
Yeah.
Okay, so the other thing that I want to point out, and I learned this, as you go, going back to Cheeks, and when Jesse released that track On and On, it was just a repetitious beat. Just do, that's all it did. And I'm like, oh, how cool is this? So now this allows me to mix one record to the next record. I can go to this record to get to the next record and use that. And later on doing an interview with Colonel Abrams, because the minute I heard that music is the answer, it's that same beat. I'm like, oh, great mix. I had no idea. I know. But what I didn't know was Colonel and Jesse was in the producing it, and they fell out, and Colonel went to New York, and that's when he created Music is the Answer, and Jesse put out the On and On track. The tracks are identical.
That's really credited with being the first house music record.
Yeah, but Colonel
Jesse Saunders in 1983.
But Colonel Abrams is from Detroit, West Wings, and that's who created that beat.
Yeah.
You're saying that Colonel and Jesse did it together?
Correct. They were collaborating, and so who actually came up with whatever that riff was? Who owns the beat?
Yeah.
So Colonel just happened to have vocals. He could sing. Jesse couldn't sing, but he could make a beat and work on the drums. So that was, that's how that happened. And so I'm just giving the hats off to Detroit for Colonel Abrams and Aretha Franklin, but the sound being created is called house.
Well, let me just say, I have a little different take on that, because this house that Jack built wasn't referencing dancing.
No.
But I mean, she just said Jack.
Who the fuck is Jack?
Whoever built the damn house.
Exactly.
Who built the house? just a house and boyfriend. They
Yeah.
was his boyfriend. So anyway, that's just my.
It's still Jack.
However.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I just want to
Yeah,
clarify.
I like that.
But anyway,
That's what I'm playing with.
all right, that's fine. And so Chicago House, on and on, Jesse Saunders is credited with the first house record. But Alleys of Your Mind by Cybertron, which included Juan Atkins, was released in 1980. And that's considered the first techno record.
That's techno. We
Okay,
didn't get there yet.
Okay, well, I just want to say that.
Okay.
I'm just saying something about which came first. You just said.
Right. And that's why I said, like, that came first, and then we progressed. And so, another story, Derek invited me over to his house, and he was playing, and he played, he was on a Yamaha 100. I'll never forget it, because I ran out and bought one just me. And he let me hear Strings of Life. And I said, and I had never heard techno or anything. And I said, that's really cool. I think I like it. I think it'll work. But it's clueless, but it's still, and look what happened. After that. That was, so I know that he did that, did that with Juan and stuff. But so that was just the explosion. And I'm just happy and blessed to be on the scene from that, to be able to hear this and not know where it was going, where it actually changed the world.
Wow.
The world.
Yeah.
Stacey, that's a good segue about changing the world. And you all are fortunate to travel overseas and play at all the major events and great cities that really appreciate this type of music, specifically when it's artists from Detroit. Just kind of share what does it feel like when you're in Berlin or you're in London or Paris or anywhere else. And John goes down under a lot.
Yeah.
But tell us what does it feel like that you can walk down Jefferson and maybe no one know who you are. But when you're 5,000, 7,000 miles away,
We get chased.
Oh.
and I always likened it to the jazz artists in the 40s and 50s that they relatively toiled in anonymity here. But then they were just adored in Paris and other places. Kind of explain how that feel. And I'm proud when I hear the stories. So kind of talk about this.
Well, it's an amazing feeling. Not to say that people in Detroit don't appreciate it, they do. But overseas, it's like if you're from Detroit and the DJ, and you're a DJ, they love you. And they love the music. But that goes all the way back to like what you were referencing, even back with Josephine Baker, she went overseas because there was so much racism in this country for her, so she's huge overseas. But for us, it's like you're playing before, sometimes it could be 1,000 people, it could be 20,000, and they are in love with you, they know who you are, they know what you've done,
You need
they
security.
reference you, they
It's that bad.
Google
It's
you,
that intense.
and it seems like they just want to go higher and higher and higher in terms of the music, not the drug necessarily, but the music. So it's an amazing feeling.
And go back, I know you say about the drugs, but I think, my entire career, that my drug was the music. I didn't have to be high. I do not know, never, but the drug is not what, sent me off. It was truly the love of the music and just doing that and to make people happy. That's my thesis or whatever. To be able to deliver something to make you smile, to make you like, oh my God, I haven't heard that. Oh my God, that is great. Just something. And that's
Well, I'm
why.
speaking about the drug, the people in the drug, the people in the crowd.
Well, I know, but sometimes, we know a lot of drug DJs too.
Yeah.
I'm the same way. I don't.
I'm scared to do a drug and be out of town.
You go, you can get
So
anything you
I'm
want.
gonna tell you what our drug was. His was Hennessy and Coke, and mine was just straight up Hennessy.
So
Ah.
like my name should have been John Hennessy Collins.
Ah.
That's how
Gotcha.
100 years later, we're drinking clear liquor now. It's still clear. It's still liquor. It's got a name. But it's still clear. So we went from dark to like,
You see, they kind of like siblings. They kind of, what I love about it, and understanding where you've been. Also, let's talk about what gives you passion now. What are you passionate about? I know, John on the City Detroit Entertainment Commission, the chair. Okay, I was gonna say the chair. He was
man. Yes, hot
I always call it the nighttime mayor of Detroit.
Wow.
But they have transformed not just being DJs and entertainers to taking it to other levels to expand the love of music. And I know Stacey with her foundation and teaching.
I'm teaching. I don't know how many DJs I done produced
And
doing that and put them in like shoes. But I'm real big on. I guess for the last 20 years, for me, it does no good for me to have all this knowledge and it be just for me. It's important for me to pass it on. That's the only way. Whatever I'm doing and whatever I'm going to continue to do for it to live on. And the only way it's going to live on is to pass it to other people. And if you just take 5% of my theory about it, that's more than whatever.
Yeah.
That's just, and that's very, very important to me.
And just let me also say, I'm also with.
Uh-oh.
I'm with under. No, is it my call?
I don't know.
Hello.
It's okay.
Hello. I'm with Underground Resistance as well. And so UR has always mentored up and coming DJs as well. I mean, for the past 20, 25 years. And it is important, to pass it on to the next generation. We can't do this forever, and we have to bring up, it's our duty. That's what I feel. Now, some DJs feel like they don't want to do that because they might feel threatened. I don't know.
It's all about them.
But for
And
me,
we just have a different feeling about that. It's not all about us.
Invested.
It's about us, but it's about us too.
Yeah.
to share.
To share. That's the only way it lives. Since I want you to dance to house music, I just want you to dance to the music, and that's not kicking out everything else. But know this as well. I'm in a rock band. How the fuck that happen? I'm in a rock band.
Yeah.
Jessica Caremore's Black Women Rock. And I remember when she came to me and said, I want you to be part of it. And so I'll confess, I was clueless. I'm thinking Black Women Rock, oh yeah, get down, we cool, we know, yeah, rocking, how you can say, yeah, you rock, that does. I had no idea it meant rock music. I didn't know. But what she did, again, growing up, 6, 7, I forgot I do have a rock background. I like rock music. I went to Cody. That's all we listened to. It was rock music, and that I have I'm very knowledgeable about rock music. So
I think back in the day, even on the radio, depending on the radio station you listen to, there was a lot of rock and roll being played. So Detroit's a huge rock and roll city.
big, you know that.
And I think we also
It is.
Yeah.
Yep. And thanks to Adriel, because he was very alternative. That's all he liked at Elvis and alternative music. I didn't know what the fuck it was, but I knew it worked.
Yeah.
And just because I didn't know what it was didn't make it not relevant.
Yeah.
And still good. And then DJ Daryl G taught me how to play LaBouche.
Oh.
I was clueless again, we were on radio. And I'm like, okay, we have to play this music. I have to keep this radio station happy, but I still have to be me. And I literally told him, I said, would you please teach me what this shit is? I know. Because it wasn't something that I would have gravitated toward, but I do believe in entertaining people. I'm not going to ever get up and force something down your throat. I love tricking you, I can trick your ass. I love those that say, I don't like house music. I'll be like, okay, come
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
And I change their mind.
Yeah, we all do that.
That's program.
Once again, it goes back to programming.
Programming, yeah, you know.
Programming.
And I think that's what we've learned. That's what our legacy has given us to learn how to program, you know, be a play. Because what I'll play here will be very different than what I'll play at another place. It's very different what I'll play at a festival. Very different what we play in other countries. But that calls for a lot of study. You have to really listen to a lot of music. And to know, you have to hear it first. You know, that's one of the first questions I ask my students. I said, what do you hear? They all start looking all up in the ceiling and going like, what? I said, what do you hear? They don't get it. I said, you gotta listen. You don't listen, how you gonna know what to do? You don't listen to what you know. And so that's it, that's back to, you know, right, listen. I've never been a hip hop DJ, but I do acknowledge that it's some stuff that is good. And if it's just good, you know, that's my thing.
You know, it's really funny. When I was at a club called the Palladium, which was on 6 Mile, it was a gay club, but they had men's nights and ladies' nights, right? So for the women,
Had to slow
they
down.
loved hip hop music. So I had to learn to play hip hop. I like some hip hop, not all,
Yeah.
but apparently I did it very well because it was like 1,000 women every Saturday night at the Palladium. And then when the other women were giving parties, other groups, they would hire me. I'm like, you know, so once again, it was like I taught myself how to do it. It wasn't my favorite, I could do it very well. So, you know, you have to learn and study, and different crowds do require different types of music.
And because we learn the art of playing records, okay?
Yeah.
You have to listen to the record before you play it. And playing records, and that's where we were based. You know, now I can get down on my watch or whatever else, and you know, the most hateful question the DJ can ask me coming in about what BPM are you at? I look at them like they're crazy. They don't understand that. I said, you're not matching numbers. You have to match the mood, the feel. You have to work the room. It's not about how many beats per minute. No, but they don't know that because they learn to push buttons and look at the flash drive. You're right.
I'll just bring it up.
Yes.
So she brought up a good point, and I was going to talk about the transformation from records, vinyl, and how you utilize technology. Is it better? Is it easier? Now, as a patron of the dance floor, do they care? I don't know. Do they care, or they just want hot music, good music? And so, but also it's all about the eye. You talk about hearing the sound, but also looking at the crowd and seeing the vibe. Will you all kind of help us with that?
Well, you have to. What was the first question? The first thing you said.
About the transformation of technology.
Technology.
And how it's better.
So we learned on vinyl, right? So, yeah, vinyl, and in order to loop, the knife and push the button, you had to have 2 records and go back and forth very fast to make that loop on vinyl.
By hand, right.
And so I think it made us more versatile and more, it just taught us how to do more. Now, going from vinyl to digital, and we were both Billboard reporters as well.
Oh, right.
So,
do you know what a Billboard reporter is? You know, explain. You heard of Billboard magazine?
Yeah.
Or something like that. Well, the charts they have on there are made up from DJs around the country. And they have different categories. And they had a dance category, or whatever the hell it was out there.
it was dance music.
Dance music, okay. And so John and I both became Billboard DJs, and they came to us nationally and allowed us to represent Detroit. That was major. They would fly us all over everywhere. We like that shit, didn't they?
So the record promoters would send us vinyl.
Oh my
And
God.
we'd get boxes and boxes and boxes of these promotional music. And our job was to rank the top 25 records weekly.
Every week, we had to be
Every
on the
day,
phone for
we had
5
a
hours.
call. We had a call from all these promoters from New York, California, talking about the tracks that they were trying to promote because they wanted us to chart it.
To chart it, to play it, because that makes
To get
sales
on
for the label.
the Billboard magazine and stuff.
Yes.
So that was quite an experience, and yeah, we learned a lot. It was
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, we did. You did. You know, one of the things, I don't know if it- but that helped me hone my skills, besides me wanting to hear it right, mixing for the general population they weren't aware of it. And so I created this thing called sneaker mix. That's what I call it. And so I would have you dancing to 5 or 6 records and you didn't know the record changed. That was back to me listening. And for whatever, I didn't know nothing about in the key. I didn't know nothing about that. I just know what I heard. And it just had to work. And by the time they would dance 6 records, they'd be like, wait a minute.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes the transitions can be so smooth that the people on the dance don't even know that it's a different record. But also, to your point, you know, you have to connect with the crowd and you have to look at the people that you're playing for. And I know today you might see people, DJs like doing this while they're playing. They never look up to see
Staring at the computer.
what the floor is doing. And
yeah.
but then you have the laptop as well. You know, that could be hindrance to me. But I use CDJs and turntables. I don't use a laptop. But so it's about that connection. And it wasn't. I think we were Billboard reporters right when CDs came out.
I remember when I refused to play a CD.
Oh.
I wouldn't even play it. I thought it was sacrilegious.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it had to be wax, and nothing but the wax.
They sent us promotional CDs, and they also gave us portable CD players. And I think my CD player stayed there for like a year before I used it. I was used to vinyl.
Yeah.
So all these CDs are piling up because the labels are sending us.
Because we couldn't
all these
touch them.
CDs.
We couldn't make a mix. All you could do is put it in there, put in the drawer, close the drawer, and then push the button.
Can you explain to the kids what a CD is?
What a CD is?
I mean, are there people here that don't know what CDs are? Raise your
Put your hands up if you know what a CD is.
No, if you don't know. Everybody knows.
Yeah.
2025.
But yeah, you
Well, I'll take the first CD that got my attention from Polygraph. When they would send us the CDs, it usually just have one track on it, just like they would send us a 12-inch. It would have the one track on it. And I get it, it's real clean, and you don't hear no grits, and you don't hear no, all that thing. That was the whole point of the CD being developed, okay? But having one track on a CD did absolutely nothing for me, and not to mention I couldn't touch it and make it do what I wanted it to do when it was time to do it. So that's why I was anti-CD. And then that Flower CD came out when it had 20 different songs on it, and they were different artists, and I'm like, I get it. Okay, you can put all this different music on a CD and pick out whatever track you want to play, and that's when CDs finally got my attention.
And the thing about vinyl is tangible. You can touch it and feel it. You know, and you're actually doing it, as opposed to some machines that maybe your programmers to do things for you. So it's like you have much more. I get more satisfaction out of playing vinyl.
Like carrying it? Carrying the records.
Well, not really carrying it. I'm just saying anymore. But yeah, it's because you're doing it yourself. You know, and to me that's a big difference.
Right, and so finally, when the CDJ came out where you could touch it and it felt like a record, that's what enlightened me when I said, okay, this is open. And I learned how to play CDs literally in front of a crowd at the Woodward. With me and Melvin Hill. That was my first time ever playing CD. There was no time for practice. I had to get it together.
Yeah.
And so that's the MP3s came out. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, the woo. Everybody know the woo, stand up. All right, now, major. Oh my God.
So, yeah, tell them.
You can tell
I mean, well, you know, the history of it's called the Woodward, later on they said.
but we changed it to the Woo.
Now, the Woodward bar had been in Detroit for many, many years, and it wasn't that far from the Fisher Theater.
It was the oldest, right?
Yeah.
But they had like a piano, is one thing. It was a piano bar, but it was also.
Was it piano bar?
I don't think it was a piano. It was a fake piano when you walk in.
Oh, it's fake, okay. But it was primarily, but the Woodward was primarily a white bar. There were no black people.
In the beginning.
In the beginning, right, in the beginning. I'm just giving you history. In the beginning, it was, there was no, maybe a few.
Like when Jose would let me in, I gave him the track and I couldn't get in.
They were very discriminatory back in the day as well. Yes. But then, you know, what, 20, 30 years later, more black people started coming to the world.
And put it at 7 a.m. You could start drinking at 7 a.m.
Yeah, they go there for lunch, all that. So it was a very many stay. So
Great
what happened?
too.
Yeah, great cocktails. I had. Oh my God.
And you have to go in the back.
Yeah.
It's very
So
rare.
Melvin decided to have a birthday party. But he had a birthday party. He said, "I want you to come and play." And I'm like, "Okay." And it was so successful and so packed out. I said, "We should do this once a month." So it's like, okay. And he was just as scared as I was. He was so scared he would only burn one song on one CD. Just one song.
What year was that? What year was that?
My memory don't want to tell.
Probably like 9.
I don't know.
No.
No.
We had two CDs. When you played the CD.
When I played the CD.
Yeah.
It was the very first CD player that you had control of where you could touch it and make that right. And so I think I don't even know how we got them, but we had those. We were on the floor. And I'll never forget Felton Howard, who was also a Duncan Sound DJ. MP3s were created or invented, or now here he plays. And he bought me a CD. It had 173 songs on the MP3. And when you put it in, you couldn't read what it was, so I had to pull out this big long sheet of paper to see what, where is it? You know, oh my God, that was crazy. That was crazy. We clearly got the difference of MP3 and WAV files, because they didn't sound good. They're fine now, but they were like horrid. And so that's we were literally on. Well, nobody would have known that was literally learning how to play CDs right then. I had carpal tunnel in both hands, and when I decided to have the surgery, so I was in the cast, I didn't miss a beat.
Oh.
You know, I'm still going. That's passion.
Yeah.
You know, and just loving what you do, and that I just want to play it. I want to just make it happen. And Cheeks and the Woo, famous straight DJs would come to our club because we was kicking ass so bad they came there to get lessons.
Even back to the Club Heaven days where Ken Collier was a DJ. There were a number of, like Derek May, all these other DJs too. They would come to listen to what Ken was playing. Very, very good DJ. They wouldn't go on the dance floor. They would listen. But yeah, they did. Derek used to come to Cheeks every Friday. Every Friday, Derek May was in Cheeks.
They studied the shit out of us. We didn't know that's what I was doing.
Well, and then music comes too. So Stacey.
So you talked about how people follow you all and or what you're doing, what you're playing. Let's talk about like today. I know legacy is very important to you. Who are some of the up and coming people that you're excited to go see, and who kind of you like to listen to, and who is kind of taking the baton, if you will? Because you can't just do something and just be in a space of, okay, I did it and I'm done. It's about creating something with legs. And where do you all see yourselves in being those people? Along with it. Well, the bottom line is that.
Okay, I want to say something that stemmed off of me that I didn't know, or a happy moment of someone receiving what we were doing, and go back to DRMC when we were having our conference, and when Ken passed, we had a memorial of what?
Ken Carter Memorial Foundation.
Right, and we had DJs audition to come and play at that.
Oh, we had a party.
We had a party.
Yes.
And we had an audition, and they had to submit cassettes. That's all it was. And they submitted cassettes, and the cassette that stood out the most that we hired was DJ Scent.
Wow.
I didn't even know that DJ Scent was a woman.
Okay.
Okay, I just think it a great kick ass.
She's good. She's
And when
good.
I found out she was a woman, I lost my mind. I was just so happy because I was out there by myself.
Yeah.
I've been by myself all these years, and so to hear that, and from that,
But didn't Aaron Carroll also perform at that same party? Because he did the Wash It. The Wash It.
I just remember the woman.
Okay, well, so Aaron Carroll before the record Down, you know Down? Everybody know the record.
Who?
I'm not a bad, everybody crazy. Down.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So Aaron Carroll also.
After the fact.
No,
I mean, he could have performed, right? Talented temperament, yeah.
Look, Down was an album he performed at the same time.
Okay, so to see that and to see where sin has grown and to do that, I was just happy. I said, oh my God, there's another, because I was tired of being not tired, but I just wanted everybody to embrace it, and I didn't want it to be, because it's still, I mean, it was very male dominated. So you can imagine how many times I got my ass with just because, you know.
What about Sid, Serena Tyler, Sid, Serena Tyler, K-Han, what should people, I feel like in the legacy.
Great, yeah. Sid was the first one that I, and that's how I met her, through a cassette, and then she walked up and it was a woman, and I just lost it. I was just happy. You know, the fact that another woman took the craft serious. That's pretty much, you know, what that was. And Kay-Han and I, this is how long memory going way.
Well, you know, Kelly Han also danced on the scene.
Right. Okay. Yes.
The dance show before she became a DJ.
Yeah.
That's what it as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Kelly was always in the music. But
Yeah, she
Kelly started. I don't know the club she was in Detroit, but she started producing.
Let's produce it. I produced a couple of tracks with her. You could find them, but they're out there. You know,
So then she went in the other direction. She started releasing music, and she started traveling. You know, and we're back to techno for a minute, but Kelly was the first techno DJ
Yes, she is.
in the world.
Yes, she is.
Yeah.
Yes, she is. That's Detroit. She absolutely is. Absolutely was. I was in her studio with her many times, and I'm going like, what? You know, I didn't totally understand it, but she was, honey, come on, honey. You know her. What would she say, honey? You know,
But you know, Harry, to your point about up and coming DJs, we have a lot of very good DJs in Detroit. A lot of younger DJs, we got about 10,000 of them, but I mean, it's a lot. But there are like, one young lady's here, DJ Ella, who is one to watch as well. And,
I snatched her up real quick, little nerd, you know, like, a woman, I did. I grabbed her
and
I still have the tape, you know, and put her on Deep Stage Radio.
Dion,
I did. I tend to anybody that has the passion, I go and grab them and say, come on, you know, that's just how I do.
Dion Jamar's another one. Dion Jamar. So I mean, there's a lot, you know, a lot of house DJs. I also like Santonio Echoes' son.
Oh yeah.
He's up and coming, and so a lot of house techno, and you know, DJs who may play similar styles to Kenny Dixon or Louis Now. You know,
So you mentioned Serena Tyler. She was the DJ on Friday at Club Exclusive Hollywood. It was exclusive later. I was the DJ on Saturday. Okay. We kind of collabed a little bit together, but that's what she did. I did mine, but then I got sucked up by Duncan Sound and started. that's what happened, and so that's why our careers did whatever they did.
Is he related to Mark, by the way?
Huh?
Is Mark related to?
No.
The Mark Duncan, the Mark our son.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
Alright.
Or were they cousins or something? But no, it's totally different. It's ironic that he does sound.
Yeah, exactly. That's what
Oh.
Yeah. It's Mark Duncan who does sound, and it was Duncan Sound who does sound, and so.
Sound new to the city. Hey.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, he ain't no joke. He ain't no joke, yeah. I love it.
So thank you for that. My last, I'm gonna just bring something to you guys is, where do you see the scene in 5 years?
Oh, which city?
Okay, that's a good point. Well, hell, Detroit, here. And I want, if you could just briefly, I want to just kind of explain or share with your audience when that magic moment happened when you were DJing and then said, hey, I can make records. How can you explain that and what does that mean? Because, you know, you mentioned edits earlier, John, and remixes, but, you know, I think the audience might need to understand what that means. And then after this, we'll open up for Q&A, okay? You can just kind of explain on that, please.
Well, John started making, I don't know, you were making
I released-
before me because you are, so he has access to not only making the songs and musicians and pressing them and all.
But before you say that, but let me say one thing. When you're a DJ, you know, you're actually, when you're playing, you can actually remix a track
On the
while
fly.
you're playing. So that could be almost like a release. It was a little bit more difficult to do when it was on vinyl, though we go from the instrumental to the dub to the acapella. So making it a totally different version. But actually doing production takes a lot of study, you know, a lot of practice, but if you can hear it in your head, you know, and you just kind of know what works, you know, and for being a DJ, you know what makes people dance and how it should be structured,
Right.
Versus it could be techno house, it doesn't matter. But it's something I think you have to have passion to do that as well.
Right, so one of the best compliments I ever got from John, we were up in here and we were just being happy and high and going on. And he said, can I have that version you played of Jack Your Body? I'm like, what are you talking about?
What version was it?
I made it up right here on the spot. I remixed it right here on the spot, playing with the people. Somebody asked me to hear Jack Your Body, and in my mind, the sound that was happening right then didn't call for the original version, so I just ripped me a piece off of it and made the sound of what I thought should be, and Jack Your Body over it. And he actually thought it was a record.
And that's the beauty of a CDJ. It's really much difference.
I can't repeat it. I have no idea what I did.
Wow.
Do it right now.
So we'll, first of all, it's been a like, you enjoy yourself so far? Thank you, Spotlite, for having us.
Yes, thank you.
We'll open up for some Q&A, and so, anyone have any questions? Yes, please stand up, sir.
No, first of all, thank you all so much because all three of you I learned so much from. And owe my existence to you. Thank you.
Dr. Adriel was a volunteer for us, right?
Yes.
We see the people that work
Yes.
It was. I volunteer for y'all.
That's all he was the alternative.
Okay. Because I worked for Version, I was in college for Version. It was like trying to pimp records out to everybody.
Aw.
So I was working Linny, I was working The Verb, I was working all kinds of stuff.
That's how records.
And that's how, yeah. So thank you for that. But I also learned so much from you all. Just, you know, growing up being me and Steven started a week apart, doing events, and always, you know, have to look to y'all. But to a point that you asked earlier, today, how do you see, are people receptive to being taught? Or having, you know, people that they look up to that they can actually learn stuff from when it comes to either producing parties or events or DJing? You know, are they even still
What?
open to that? No, are they open to that?
Are people approaching us? Is that
Not necessarily approaching, but are they open to? Because you know, one of the things that I find is people. Yeah, are they open to people mentoring them?
Yes,
To your
yes,
perspective.
yes. Last night, I was at Speaker Box last night, and this one guy, he sat there the whole night, basically. And then he came up to me and said, well, actually he does graphics for Kevin Saunders, right? And he said, oh, I love you, said I couldn't leave. He said, can you mentor me? He said, because I love the way you play, blah, 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 blah. So that does happen quite a bit. And I think a lot of up and coming or younger DJs, sometimes they might feel that we're not approachable, you know, for whatever reason. I think sometimes people say, but not always, and we've always done that. Mentoring people still do ask that question. Yeah.
Anybody that has the passion and they feel like it, come on. I love that. I love to share that. If you share that with me that you know that you want to. And I still have people. I have from young ages to I just had a 54-year-old woman call me and say, I want to know how to do this because she want to open a speakeasy and she wants to do this. And I'm like, what? You know, I'm more than happy to assist.
The other thing is it's a time thing because we're involved in so many other things. You know, it's kind of hard. There's a lot going on, and it doesn't slow down. It seems like you know, from being a DJ who made like what $30 a night.
25. I made $25
That's what it was back in the day.
playing from
We didn't make it
from
money.
12 to 6.
We didn't make it
Late night, all night, and I made $25. I was so happy to get that, and I got a raise, and I got $30.
Totally different today.
Right, that's why I was saying, when somebody tell me, can you do this for $2? I said, I did it already.
You're right.
I have a question.
Okay.
So this whole talk was inspired by us sitting at the bar one night, and John was telling the story of how he got thrown out of Cheeks. Tell that story.
Okay, well, yeah.
Like, when I heard that story, I was like, what are you talking
We done been raised now.
Actually, I got fired at Cheeks. I don't know what I did. I can't remember. So it's really with Larry and Marshall who hired me. I don't know what I did anyway, but they had security escort me out. Can you imagine that? John Collins? And was I gonna steal like a turntable? It was in the daytime. But the thing about it, later on at the warehouse, which they also own, I got fired once again. Yes, because.
What did Stacey do?
Hold on. Well, I had to fire her too. Hold on. So when WJLB was doing a live, no. Oh, this is what. Hold on. They hired a new DJ. This is after you left, I think.
I know exactly what happened.
They hired a new DJ. So I'm like,
They hired a new DJ. I know who it was.
You really have to watch
He was sucking
the
his
owners because they're not, they're not going to pay you what you want. You got to watch him. He went back and told them everything I said. So they fired me. But we were on JLB at that time, and Steve Hegwood, the program director, said, I want John Collins back. So they hired me back. But then I got fired again by Steve Hegwood because I played.
I'm just saying, that's how I got tossed out.
No, hold on.
I wouldn't give him that either.
Let me tell my story. I played by mistake explicit lyrics of a track, and they fired. And so but explicit back then is nothing compared to what it is today. Yeah, but that's why they fired me. I didn't fire me.
So, no.
Where have you been thrown out of, Stacey?
Well, the first rave I got thrown out was with that man over there. The backhoe. We got kicked out. And the backhoe was him. I was like, they were like, get out. All I kept saying is, please don't take my records. Just let me have my records. That's all I cared about.
I was nice about it.
So please take this. So, here's another little tidbit of something. Steve Hegwood would come to the warehouse and hear us getting it. And that's how broadcasting live happened in the clubs.
Right.
That's how it happened. It had never happened. And he was like, wait a minute. And they did whatever it was to do to make the radio be able to put the music out, over the air.
Through the telephone, remember? The phone line.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. I'll never forget that. But then, so I got fired because I didn't have the tools that the DJ that took place, and he wanted to do that to him. And I'm like,
At the warehouse? But wait a minute. So now, there was a time. There was a time when Larry Harrison told me, so I was a head DJ at the point in time. And I don't know what you did, he said, head DJ. Now,
that's because he was too scared.
Oh, wait, no, so we're friends,
I still know
right?
his hands now. We talk all the time.
We're friends, and I have to fire her, I guess if I want to keep my job. But that was a different time with Steve Heckenberg, right?
No, that's what it was. That's how it came by. That's how it came by. Steve told him, because they both was cowards. If they real men, walk up and try to have a conversation with me. But, I know Steve wanted to do who he replaced him with. I'm not going to call him out, but I know that that's what he wanted to do because he made it very clear that's what he wanted to do. And that's how I thought it wasn't because I was playing bad music.
You want a different topic.
In the way I remember playing Lonely People and Gypsy Woman, She's Homeless, and everybody turned around and thought I had lost my mind. I never heard nothing like that before. But I'm thinking, because we get these songs from the record labels and as a Billboard reporter, and as you know this stuff now, those are fucking hits. And I wasn't scared to play it. I put it on. I got fired almost for playing Jumped Up to It, Aretha Franklin and Luther Vandross. I was playing at the radio. And he told me, if I didn't take that record off, I'm going to fire you. That was Ken Moon and, what was the other boy name?
Jumped Up to It.
Yes. Because they hadn't heard it and they hadn't hit radio yet. Does that mean I can't play it? I'm like, but it's the... He told me straight out, if you don't take that off, I'm going to fire you.
Questions? Anyone?
I have a question and a comment.
Come on.
Since I'm here, so
Microphone.
do I need a mic?
Yes.
No, I don't. Not loud. So my question is, the connection between you guys, and we're talking history tonight, and all these young people, and you guys both play for all these young promoters like Garrison, all these people, and you're in this new community. Like, how has that changed you and kept your music relevant for you? How have they affected you?
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like,
Great question.
yeah, because we have all these young kids, like
Yeah, we
Garrison,
talked about that.
like-
Great question.
and they push you a lot, and there's like, you guys are great mentors to them, but how have they affected you? I know how you affected them. How have they affected you?
Good question.
Oh, I got you guys speaking.
I think they
I don't know. I always listen. I never stop learning. That's one of the first things I say.
because they appreciate what we do. And the thing about it, we've always stayed relevant because we always were able to, not conform, but we know what they want. But we also know that we can also kind of teach them and take them to another place. So that's why we can still play for a crowd of 23-year-olds, where there's some DJs who cannot do that. And it's fun,
We didn't have to put on a mouse head to do it. Or become a horse face.
But then at the same time, we can still play for older crowds as well. So.
Yeah, but you guys are one of the few people that they really bring you into their
Because we're
younger
cool
scene.
like that.
Last question. Anybody? Angel?
I was gonna say, but I think what Stephen asked is it different to like playing for me and Steve in the '90s versus today? Are the different men, are they asking you for something different that you have to mold to versus what we didn't ask you to do shit?
Well, one of the things for me, and I talk about it, Daryl and I, we talk about this, you know, all the time, and what allows the longevity to go with me. Everything you hear now that you call new
Right, yes.
is something that already happened.
Yeah.
We just happen to recognize what it is. You know, we just happen to know what it is. So now, I'm happy because I'm listening to something that I knew from the 80s, 90s. You think it's new. Only thing that's new on it is the beat. And I'm ready for the new beats. I love new beats. I love sound. I love that.
But
So
this is a great point, because
Yeah.
a lot of times you guys play stuff, and these kids are like, oh my God, they think it's new, but it's like
they think it's new,
I think
right?
it's 3 years ago.
Yeah.
3,
30.
30, okay, yeah. Right.
I was in Berlin in a club, and I played No UFOs by Warren Atkins, which, I mean, you know, can play that record anywhere in the world. It will pack the dance floor.
Right.
So the other DJ who played before me, he's like, oh my God, what is that? So you call yourself a techno DJ and you don't know what this record is?
They don't
I said,
they don't do
this
it.
is the guy who created techno music.
Yeah.
He is the godfather. He is the one who came up with the term
I thought that was
techno.
all that night.
So a lot of them didn't know, but what's old is new to them.
Right.
What's old is new.
They have
That's
no
what,
idea.
that's what, you know,
But that's
So-
beautiful.
that for me.
And important. You need to have multi-generational communities.
I think it was great about this event tonight, and thank you to you all. We listened, we learned something, and how you span generations, as well as have remained relevant. And I'm proud to know you both. And
I have one more question.
Before we take the last question, what I'm going to say is we do have another party tonight. Anyone that wants to stay, I'm happy to give them a wristband. We'd love for you guys to hang out a little bit later, but we do have to start getting set up. I want to close it out by a story that I have with me and Stacey. One night, Stacey played here, and we're both sitting at the bar, and there was an afters. I think Stephen had an afters at Menjo's. No. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. It wasn't. Some place that had a couch in it.
Tiffany's after hours. The book, what's called the book club, not the book.
Oh no, it was the porn shop.
Porn shop.
So me and her both say we're not
Oh, the
going.
porn shop.
Right? I'm not going. She's like, I'm not going either. Girl. It's like 3:30 in the morning. I walk in. I decided to go because my husband was playing with Booty wherever he is. And I walk in and Stacey's sitting on the couch with this kid. This is after Stacey's party. This young white man. And I was like, what's going on? And she was like, he said that he was just at a party at Spotlite and the DJ crushed it. Not knowing it was her the whole time. And she's sitting there having a whole kiki for like a whole hour with this kid, talking about this party when it was her the entire time. And that's like our story. Me, Stacey, John, and Harry, who always like hold this place down during the day, during the night, at the very end. They're still in it. They still believe in it. And they still hold it down so much harder than any 23-year-old that I know. So I love you guys. I appreciate you both. This was so much fun. We're going to do it again. I wanted this to be fun. I told them that they had to have a drink before they started talking. And anyone that wants to stay, come see me and I'll give you a wristband and hang out for the evening if you'd like. So thank you.
strong support of the scene. He was like, soon she's not here tonight, she was double booked at some other event.
Yeah.
But Chuck is at everywhere.
Yeah.
And he loves the music. He loves the scene. But thank you, Angel, for mentioning that. It's just, I just want to be part of the solution to continue this on for posterity.
Well, let me say, that is your art. That is your art.
Yep. Participators.
You did that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So let me point out a Harry story right now. Okay? So he always had these, at the Alpha House, had